A professional crew that ran to get drinks, but nonetheless are back just in time for another Best Ball Happy Hour here at 4for4 Football. As always, I'm your host, John Daigle, joined today by none other than Pro Football Focus Zone, Ian Hartitz. Ian, fresh from the pool, how are you feeling?
I stole the opening introduction back from Hayden by virtue of him not being here. Great day to be great, Daigle. Yeah, pool is fantastic. I'm trying to carve out at least 30 minutes every single week to sit by the pool. It's always a great day to be great. And come on, guys. It's in the summer. We work full-time fantasy football. Let's smell the roses sometimes.
I don't disagree with you, but I've never been pool guy. I'm also the guy that when he goes to the beach gets bored. And so like I go for runs on the beach. I literally can't sit there unless you bring like a sandcastle, like a toy for me to entertain myself. Otherwise, I just feel like the world's happening without me. And of course, the guest of honor with Hayden Winks, who's gone right now to get a drink. It is none other than Rich Hribar, the birthday boy, very soon himself. Rich, how's it going, buddy?
What's going on? Listen, I vacationed with you on the beach. We did take toys though, but to keep you entertained. Yes. But yeah, listen, I'm glad that you guys had me on to kind of run it back what we did last year. We've got Winks replacing Silva from the draft that never happened, but absolutely happened.
For those that don't recall, we won't rehash it too much, but by now, during the draft that never happened at this time last year, literally by now, 2 minutes into the show, Silva had already yelled at me to start the fucking draft, and Ian had already swigged straight, not from a glass, but from a handle of proper 12, literally the moment the show started. So we were doing it well, and we are here, as always, to draft a puppy team this week and get Rich's thoughts since we haven't done that just yet. Also, Hayden, while I'm pulling up this screen, are you trying to grow a mustache, a beard? What's going on here? What's the bit?
This is a Top Gun related mustache.
Oh,
me and the boys are rocking the stash right now. So who knows how long it'll last, but once the wedding happened, I was like, I got to do whatever the hell I want. So
you gotta get the hat.
Now, did you know Top Gun is a sequel to a movie that already exists, Hayden?
I have not a bit. I have not seen the first one.
There's no way.
Oh my god, you casual, you freaking casual.
I did go see the new one on Friday night last night, and I got to tell you, it might be the perfect movie. Like I don't think they perfected film history until this last one. I can't wait to see dinosaurs tonight. That's what we're looking forward to, boys. Anyways, though, I'm going to hit enter, and you know the rules. First come, first serve. We are going to hop into a puppy in 3, 2, 1. And it's already almost filled because that's the way these things usually go. I have not revisited, though, the initial Top Gun. Ian, is that something you did before you go see it, this weekend?
I need to watch it this weekend. I've seen the OG Top Gun like 10 times, man. I love that movie. I mean, it's like the ultimate 80s movie, man. Like there's so many plot holes and stuff, but like just the unintentional comedy just keeps me going the whole way.
Does it hold up, Rich? I haven't seen it in long enough. Like I didn't revisit it before I went to see it. So I literally haven't seen it in like 5 years.
Welcome to
it depends on
Kenny Loggins holds up. I'm not sure about the movie.
It depends on your memory of it being an action movie versus like a drama. It's like if you think it was like as a kid, I remember treating it like an action movie, but it very much is not when you go back and revisit it.
I also, this one did not initially think the Lady Gaga theme song was like any good when I heard it just without context. And then when no spoilers, but like when we reach the end and you hear the song and the credits, you're like, oh, like this song actually is really good for this movie. I'm okay with that.
On the first 5 minutes of that movie, you know you're in good hands when the Loggins hits like immediately. Like you're in a good space.
Oh yeah. It's a great time. You're gonna love yourself, Ian. Also, boys, it looked like we grabbed the 101, and I'm going to make an executive decision and take Jonathan Taylor. I understand Christian McCaffrey could be better, but right now in best ball drafts, rarely do we get the 101. More importantly, rarely do we get Jonathan Taylor since he never falls past the second pick. So I just think it's important to grab him right now.
That's fine. I do think CMC, like, all right, Dre McFarland asked me a good question on the podcast. We do so many of these things, but Daigle, if you're doing one draft this year and you have the number 2 pick, McCaffrey, right? It's got to be.
It's still number 2 pick. It's Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, I mean, I'm literally debating him as the 101. It's just right now, again, I can get McCaffrey 3 or 4. We can't do that with Taylor, so that's what it is. Rich, any thoughts on that, or no hot takes for the 101 since they're both good players?
I mean, they are very good players. I do side with Taylor just from an objective box checking stance of being in the AJ packs, being on a team that's centered around him, and then having that glorious schedule outline too with the Colts. So, I mean, I'm fine with it as an objective box stance, but I have no pushback. Anyone that wants to take CMC, this era's Marshall Faulk in 101 too.
Ooh, nice.
Hayden, what drink did you get?
Just some shitty wine, nothing special.
That's fine.
Something that I was able to rush back for.
That's all there is for wine.
That's the worst take you have. Also, you just paid for a wedding, so no big deal that you're only drinking box
This is
wine
leftovers. This is leftovers. I don't even look at the bottle, just pour it and go.
Cheap wine's the way to go, man. My $5 bottle of wine is as good as yours.
What dollar amount does wine start to notice a difference? Because I feel like with booze, it's like 150 plus potentially. So like, I'm not spending on a bottle of wine, so I might as well. If 15 tastes the same as 70, I'm gonna get 15 every time.
I think the Frisco Josh rule, who owned vineyards and sold them, was anything over $40 is marketing. Like, that's it.
Ooh.
So
like
that's a pretty good rule that I've lived by for like 5 years, just because he tweeted it one time. So, okay. I don't live by all of Frisco Josh's tweets, but that one I could get behind at least. Rich,
He's on my side real quick. He had a good podcast with Kevin Cole, PFF Unexpected Points, where they had like 10 things that like casuals will like get pissed off about, but are true for football. And Josh's team abolished the salary cap. So I am here for that.
Hayden, now that we have the 101, I know you were in the streets as free Duke Johnson, Ian, clearly drafting from the 112.
I'm in here.
He's already to be. Hayden, I believe the rule is now, especially for these large field tournaments, that we are supposed to diversify and get unique around Jonathan Taylor, correct?
I think it's somewhat important. I think that this uniqueness thing, I'm afraid that people are going to try to get unique in ways that are just bad when you don't have to get unique. And it's very hard to get unique. Unlike DFS, when we have roster rates, like he's rostered 5% this week. Best ball, everyone's rostered 100%. So there's only so many ways we can get unique here. I think that you can reach a little bit in the second round, get kind of weird with that. But I'm worried that people are going to be like, hey, I'm just going unique here, and I'm drafting everybody early and stuff, and that's just not the way to do it, I don't think.
Svi, who joins the chat every week, I also want to shout out $2 Chuck personally, because it's $2 at Trader Joe's, but most importantly, for anyone that doesn't know, it's all wine from Napa in California. They just call it a red blend and don't sell it for expensive because they literally take from every vineyard. Like, they take from all the leftovers of wines and smash them together and sell it for $2. But it is actually California red blend. I support $2 Chuck.
Trader Joe's has some fire wine places. I respect that.
Trader Joe's habanero sauce as well. You can put it in your margaritas, 2 drops, and it makes it spicy.
The ice cream sandwiches, man, with the chocolate chips and then the vanilla.
Yes.
And they have chocolate chips over all
God.
of it. That's like my best food take ever. That is the 101 exactly of desserts.
Your only good food take is that one.
Your best as in your
Best ever is the only good one.
Rich, what are the plans for the milestone birthday this week?
We are hosting at the new house a bunch of people. So Ian, if you want to drive a couple hours north and celebrate a 40th birthday, you're more than welcome. Come hit me up this weekend.
All right.
You can come crash, man.
Okay, let me know.
No pool, but you can find one.
Well, at this age, man, it's hard to get everyone on the same page to do everything. And like so many people have like kids and they like the one can come and not the spouse. So we're just having it here and just letting everyone come and, be in safe confines.
Daigle, can we get the draft board up?
Yeah, that's been the draft board.
I can't see it personally.
Did you know that they like really don't make 40-ounce beers anymore?
Did I not share the screen?
How are you supposed to do Edward 40 hands?
Sorry.
Yeah, so this is like a thing. They really don't sell 40s anymore. It took me all my friends turning 40 to find this out. It's extremely hard to find actual 40 ounces anymore.
Daigle, you're asking me about the uniqueness thing here.
Yeah.
I think the way to get unique with Jonathan Taylor is to go Saquon Barkley and then Michael Pittman at the turn if you wanted to go crazy like that.
What are you thinking, Rich?
I love it. I love that.
Sell me on. Let's talk about Michael Pittman since we're seeing right here who's
Do we
available.
need more people to talk about Michael Pittman?
No one's selling him hard over Keenan Allen, A. Brown, Deontay Johnson. So you go ahead and do that job.
I think I would rather have him than Arthur Juan. I think at this point, I mean, there's just such a clear path for him to get there. I mean, you look at Matt Ryan versus Carson Wentz playing in a just extremely decrepit offense was better than Carson Wentz. We expect the Colts offensive line to be healthier than it was last year. his on target and his completion percentage and stuff like that, all from a clean pocket, was so much stronger in Carson Wentz. He's going to have that with Indy. The schedule's great. And then you talk about Michael Pittman. The next 2 wide receivers that were behind him in targets last year aren't even on the team anymore. We don't know if Alec Pierce is a guy that can really separate in the NFL. They might bring T.Y. back, but it's just wide open for this guy to have another 25% team target share. And if anything happens to Jonathan Taylor, which this team doesn't need to have happen, but the whole dynamics of that offense change, and then he becomes like this guy that could really flirt with like a huge target total.
Also got the Matt Harmon stamp of approval, reception perception, and so much so that Michael Pittman himself came and quote tweeted that shit, saying that he is in fact the real deal. That's confidence, guys. Absolutely. I'm still holding out a little bit. I still have AJB 12 and Pittman 13, but it's a lot of good points.
For me, it was just the week 17. Plug your ears, Ian.
Oh my gosh!
But I do think that you could. I do not think that Saquon and Michael Pittman are going to be paired very often because they both go in the 3rd round. So if you reach on Saquon Barkley at the turn, you can. I think it's probably even better without the Jonathan Taylor. But if you just go Saquon Barkley in round 2 and then Michael Pittman, there's your correlation.
Well, now, do you feel like this team has to have Matt Ryan now, or no?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. So
I think this is where I step in and think DFS in that it's a team stack without actually needing the quarterback. I understand, as Hayden has explained, that it's not DFS like even in round 17, because most of the time these players are 100% drafted and we really fall off like in the last round specifically. But yeah, again, since we quote unquote reached on 2 players like Barkley and Pittman, I think we're already in good company.
We don't have to worry about uniqueness now. I think we're just add a little correlation. Our team's already unique.
We'll see what happens. Rich, how have you been, not even necessarily from the 101, but how have you been attacking these large field underdog tournaments so far?
I've only started to do like a few of them just because I think they're kind of largely minus EV. They're just fun, like playing in the Millie Maker. So I try to focus more on the 6-team and 12-team leagues. But in here, like I'm just trying to like build some stacks, try to get some correlation through the playoffs, and kind of not force anything. Like Hayden and Josh do such a good job with all this stuff, and I just try to follow their lead on a lot of the do's and don'ts in terms of like reaching to build stacks and things like that. But I'm more focused in those like 6-team and 12-team streets, man.
You're with me. You build up your ROI via the 6-team and 12-team.
We still have some fun, a little bit.
Yeah, the large field is fun. I tell people though, I won't win 2 million. That's what I'm running on. So I'm in those 6-stream streets as well.
12 minutes, 50 seconds for those that had the over-under on Daigle announcing how he's not going to win the 2 million.
But the only person saying it. The only person saying it in the entire industry.
Respect.
Whereas everyone else, even though one person gets 2 million, everyone else is apparently going to win 2 million. So I'm in those streets alone.
Hey, I know I don't think either of us drafted him, but what about Kyle Pitts in round 3, guys? Like more and more I'm looking at him. He's kind of in that range where like you're taking him after the sure thing running backs and wide receivers. I know it was 1 touchdown and it was against the defensive lineman, but man, that dude balled the hell out. And it is Mariota. And I guess now I'm throwing several red flags out there while I'm trying to hype this guy up, but it just seems like he checked every single efficiency box still. He's really freaking good. I know I bark about him being a wide receiver, but we're calling him a tight end, so let's treat him like that. It seems like a matter of when, not if, he's going to freaking blow up. And there's so much like running back value rounds 6 through 10 right now that I feel good.
I got to cut you off really quick, Ian, because we got 10 seconds. I've been showing them the players. What are you thinking, Reeves?
I'm fine. We already missed out on like the front end of the Arizona stack. I love Arizona stacks because their playoff schedule in these. Mm-hmm. They play Denver and Tampa Bay, which are potential like good games. Then they play the Falcons in week 17. So you can get a lot of, Hollywood, James Conner. They're a team you don't have to force at ADP, whether you get Zach Ertz, even DeAndre Hopkins, who I think is fine in these tournament style plays, even though he's going to miss, 7 weeks on your roster. Arizona's been a team they're a team that just naturally you don't have to force.
I like Cooks or Robinson, either way.
We'll go Robinson in this case over Cooks. Because he's still behind on ADP there, so that's fine.
To me, I like DeAndre Hopkins' price. I mean, if everyone keeps saying that week 17 is all that matters and he's going to be healthy, then sure, why not end this 7th round?
And he's just cratered. Like no one is even touching him. And this is like the type of format you would want to have him versus like a season-long league, because not a lot of leagues allow you to IR suspended players. Some do, but not Tommy Phams, I guess. But but so then you add the bye week. He's missing 7 weeks on your team during the regular season, and he's eating a roster spot with just a 0. That's a little tougher. Whereas here, you get built-in replacement value, and then you get kind of like the best of the world when he comes back for that like stretch run too.
I've been trying so hard to get Tommy Pham on the PFF Fantasy Pod because he's in Cincy, and like my dream is interviewing Tommy Pham and then pulling like a Kramer and then being like, well, boy, do we have a surprise for you, Mike Trout, like get on over here and like let's just have it all right there in one moment. But it's not looking good. But I
never really get upset when like people don't follow me, but I was like pissed off Tommy Pham didn't follow me. I was like, shit, like
bro, this shit happened in April. Like the season ended 4 months ago. This dude had this bet up. Like, say what you want about if it was right or wrong. Tommy Pham loves fantasy football, and I appreciate that.
We've all been in leagues though with like dudes that are like take it to the 11th hour though. Like those guys are real, man. They're gonna hold on to that grudge.
That's why I'm not personally a Tommy Pham fan. I don't want to talk to him. Like that guy haunts my dreams. I have no interest.
No way.
My favorite commissioner story was I was in a basketball league and one of the teams was not setting their lineups in, because I mean it's kind of hell when it comes to NBA setting your lineups. So the commissioner thought that he could just change the schedule every single week to face this guy and that we wouldn't notice. That's good stuff.
That's actually a good bit. Ian is walking through his thought process. I'll let him talk on it in 1 second. Svi, just to answer, the Underdog Top 250, which I manually curate between ADP and Paulson's projections and my own game theory thoughts. I dropped it last week. I haven't updated it since. I'm going to update it probably later this evening or tomorrow morning just to push a couple players down. But so far, I kind of like where our heads were at when guessing ADP early. Ian, what are your thoughts at 112?
Like if I'm picking at 112 or right now?
Your last picks right now. There
Oh,
you go. You got one, Chris Godwin.
I want Chris Godwin there. He's my wide receiver 4 right now, like basically round 6. I'm cool with that. I'm looking at Michael Thomas, but man, Nick Underhill said he would only be concerned if Thomas isn't out there in July, which I think just got confirmed today that's not even looking good. So I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts here. Still have a chance to get Devontae and Goddard on the run back. Would have been nice to have AJB, but when someone has to take Kyler Murray ahead of ADP, can't exactly go the strategy I was hoping.
I had Harmon on the pod today too, the Most Accurate Podcast, shameless plug. And I asked him literally just the receiver he expects to transition the easiest from college to the NFL. And his answer outright quickly was Chris Olave, who I actually had a little bit of concerns about, given his broken tackle rate at his small size. Okay, like with 4.6 40, he can't separate. I wonder how fair. But like contested catch rate and everything else, Harmon graded him with like an extremely well success rate in press and man coverage. So apparently I'm supposed to be even higher on Olave.
He just scored the most receiving touchdowns in Ohio State history. Like,
in 3 consecutive seasons. I know this, but sometimes that doesn't translate.
My God, like, okay, yeah, he doesn't break a lot of tackles. Like Ohio State's been doing this for only very recently. Do they have receivers even like full route trees? That was why Michael Thomas went under the radar, and all these guys who, like Terry McLaurin, like why wasn't everyone high on Terry McLaurin? Because all he did was run goes alongside like Johnny Dixon every freaking game. So with Olave, man, if you watch him, he's just always been a down the field guy. When you have Garrett Wilson or Jackson Smith in the Jigba or just a badass running game, like you don't need Chris Olave to be breaking tackles in the first place. So at the risk of talking over your guys' pick again, I'll shut up. But yeah, trust Chris Olave. The missed tackles metric is the most absurd argument I've ever heard. You're playing wide receiver. Come the hell on.
It's nice to break tackles. And I don't even tweet it. You
nice
probably tweet it more than me.
It's nice to be smooth enough to not even need to break tackles. How about that?
He still needed it, but okay. Anyway, what are we thinking here, gentlemen?
We need wide receivers.
Well, we got Michael Thomas, who we just talked about right here. Adam Thielen higher. I'm going to race running backs. This is where we're at right now per the board.
And I tweeted for running backs, asshole.
I'm a boomer, but I like the old guys here.
I also like the old guys from what's left. I wouldn't push back if anybody liked Elijah Moore, but I do like the old guys here, both Thomas and Thielen. I mean, if Thomas hits, like he's going to hit big.
Cool. We're just.
And where are we at here? We're at. He's still. He's past ADP even still too.
It's past ADP. Thomas 67. Thielen was 73, so literally right on this spot. So it makes sense.
I'll tell you what, in these early drafts, and we're way past the pick, but man, if Alvin Kamara doesn't get suspended, a lot of these teams are going to look so damn good. Like he's going in the third round now in some of these.
Yeah.
I mean, and his trial got pushed back to not even the trial, the negotiations got pushed back to August. Like there's a real good chance that maybe he doesn't. No, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like there's way softer odds that he doesn't get suspended than people are accounting for.
I hate this whole situation because it's so. You're right, Rich. I mean, they moved it back from April to August. Like, who the hell knows? Maybe they'll move it back to like that's apparently what happened with Dalvin Cook when I got to talk to when I was on Vikings pod, because that's another situation that's ongoing, but it's just not going to be concluded by this football season. So fuck it, I guess.
Kamara basically, like from an expected usage stance, had the best usage of his career. They really haven't brought anybody in that's good in the backfield. And then they played behind the most injured offensive line in the NFL last year. The Saints only used their 5 offensive linemen for continuity stance on 15% of their snaps last year, by far the lowest in the NFL for a team playing the same 5 linemen. You obviously don't get Armstead back, but you get Penning. Maybe he's at least on the field. But man, I'm looking at Kamara because that offense could be sneaky decent, and no one's really talking about the Saints in that way.
It's also like everything you just said, I feel like somewhat applies to Saquon, because they were both shit efficiency last year and they both got monster workloads. So not the suspension is a completely different argument with Kamara, but that's just people are already coming around more and more to Saquon. By the time we get to August, he'll probably be going like borderline round 1.
I think he'll definitely be in the 2. So many people have so much scorn for Saquon. I don't know. Like there's a legit bias.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's weird. It's really strange.
James Conner and Alvin Kamara all averaged 3.7 yards per carry last year, but you only hear about it for Saquon. Like
Fournette's like that too. Like Fournette can only go so high because there's just so many people that just think he's bad.
Yeah. And people still love every running back behind Fournette, no matter who it is. Does not matter who it is. They're going to love him.
Who took Goddard? Fuck you. How? Wait, let's see. Oh no, he's still there. All right. Sorry, guys.
There you go. You got your one little Jalen Hurts stack.
I thought I queued him before. Okay.
They play the Saints week 17, just in case you were curious.
Bro, I'm getting more and more excited about Sky Moore. Just the more I look at.
Did you see he's wearing number 24 though?
I'm on Reeb's side here.
That's the glaring red flag. Of course. Of
It
course.
looked like an NFL tryout out there. That video looked like an NFL tryout.
It's an egregious decision.
It's
all right, I got
literally a rookie mistake.
But bro, how absurd is it that Juju's going like 15 wide receiver spots ahead of any other wide receiver? Like apparently Juju's the only guy that we can be like, well, look, in 2017 he did this and not be laughed out of the freaking room about it. Like if anyone made the argument that we're making with Juju about like Devontae Parker, Corey Davis, Kenny Golladay, they would just be like, no, those guys are washed and they suck. But for some reason with Juju, like, they were interested in him last year too. I get that. And then they cut his salary like in half. Like, and then they gave Marquez Valdes-Scantling 5 times what he's making guaranteed. So I don't know, man. Like maybe Juju hits, but taking him like wide receiver 28 as everyone else is going into 40s. Like if I gun to my head, man, I think Kelsey absolutely balls out. And then probably like everyone else is just kind of mid, maybe 800 yards or something like that. Do not pay a premium on Juju. Come on.
Rich, parse through the Chiefs wide receivers as you've been dreaming to do ahead of your 40th birthday.
Well, I think both the Chiefs and Packers are interesting because historically we show that like teams that win 8 or more games, like historically produce at least a wide receiver 24 or higher at almost a 90% clip. And neither one of those teams have a guy going that area. And that's giving them a bunch of leeway on their projected win total. So, like, we have to really think the Chiefs or Packers are really going to flatline to think, like, not someone's going to hit on either one of those rosters. And I get that the Chiefs have Kelsey. That's my one concern with Juju is where he wins is kind of where, like, a lot of the Chiefs guys win. Like, that Kelsey wins that area. I believe Sky Moore wins that area, too. I thought Sky Moore was more of a guy that would come into the NFL and be, like, ready to hit the ground running as a slot, like a Golden Tate type you saw him get comped to. I don't know if Sky Moore is going to, like, really thrive outside to start his career. I have a question about that because this dude is torching Mac cornerbacks. Like, let's see, like, in the NFL, he's able to get that kind of separation. I think he's very good, but, like, you're paying a premium on that stuff. But both of those teams are probably going to have a guy that's going to finish in the top 24. I think Lazard is the one guy that's getting steamed that makes the most sense. The Chiefs guys, I kind of like MVS. It feels so gross to say.
MVS draft him right now. He's the guy.
It feels gross to say, but I do kind of like, just because he's the one guy that does something different than all the guys that they have.
He's for sure out there. Mecole, Sky, and Juju, their skill sets overlap. MVS is for sure good. They might rotate those other three.
That's why also, strictly for ADP, I've also been drafting Marcus Valdes-Scantling because he's the easiest to get into what seems like value, whereas Sky Moore, it's the rookie fever right now in the lull of June.
And if you're going to say that Lazard didn't have the big target share because of Devontae, that applies to MVS the same way.
Are we thinking, is this a reach for Zach Erson's area, Rich and Hayden? Quarterback 2 still on the board, another wide receiver. What are we thinking here?
If we wanted to go Stafford, we can call it quits at quarterback. That's probably a little early. We are in a spot where we're not going to have another Cardinal if we don't get Ertz here, though. So I think that this might be a rare spot where we have to go Ertz, personally.
Rich?
Not my favorite.
Yeah, I'm for it. He's the top tight end, too. So I'm for it.
I feel like, Hayden, have you looked at, I don't know.
We'll be okay at QB.
I've liked a lot of your not reaching stuff, but like I feel when you're at the turn and you got to start projecting like 24 picks ahead, like is that more reasonable to make a stack like that? I mean, I did a similar thing with Goddard there. Where it's just like there's no chance I'm getting this guy. So even if it is 10 picks past ADP, like lock that shit down.
Yeah, I have a column on Underdog Network that gives you your odds of a player returning to that next pick based off of their ADPs and where your next pick's going to be. And that's just like kind of it's your decision. If you're like, all right, Goddard only has a 25% chance of coming back to that next pick, that's on you to figure out if you want to reach on him now or wait for there. So everyone has their own stances. Jack Miller 02 from Established the Run. He posted
great follow.
He posted
02,
yeah. I don't know why he hasn't. He first of all, he got a freaking. He's verified before me, and he was at Roto World for 6 seconds.
He was verified before me
tilted.
while we were both at Roto World.
I'm so.
Your
tilted.
name's not Jay Daigle, man.
Oh
How are
my
you going to get
God.
verified?
Hey, I'm verified now. We're good.
But anyways, he posted the data, and it's what everything that I've shown as well. The later you get the player versus ADP, the better the pick is worth, including the stacks. If you reach too much on the stacks, it basically devalues the entire point of the stack. And we're playing in these tournaments every single time you draft a player 12 picks ahead of ADP, the same exact draft, the next draft, a player is going to get, or a person doing a draft is going to get that same exact player 12 picks after ADP, the same exact odds. So don't keep reaching. I'm personally on waiting for the stacks in these tournaments. And if you miss out on your stacks at one draft, that's fine. You can fire up the next puppy 45 minutes later.
These literally stay filled. I'm a slow draft connoisseur, so I can tell you the notifications run around the clock. And I'm curious to see what you do in this position.
I don't think enough people. Oh my God. I was trying to get the Cook brothers stack again to make a joke, but I got sniped.
It's all about the bit. That's all.
Well, James Cook
There's
is
correlation.
a guy that is like he's kind of like a nightmare in like these, right? Like he's because like where could like his ceiling be, right?
In
Like
a half PPR, right?
Like he has to get the workload that Devin Singletary had to close last year, which I guess is in a range of outcomes, but not something I truly am going to bet on.
I guess his ceiling is if they say like, F it, we're going 4 wide with James Cook and like basically walking to the line of scrimmage, playing the pass every single. I don't think it's going to happen, but like I hear you, especially with Underdog being half point, probably not the biggest ceiling on James Cook. I don't think Devin Singletary is a buy though. I think it's probably a stay away. We have 4 years of data now of, unfortunately, there not being like any clear workhorse in Buffalo. Like, yeah, I saw Devin Singletary at the end of last year. That was great. But you know, what was the overall RB 30 or something on a per game, even per game basis. So like, it was fun to get him there, but we've seen Buffalo smartly. I don't think they really ramp up their running backs until like it's playoff time or like it's must-win time, which, you know, makes sense to me. They're not going to mess around in the early season. Josh Allen's going to throw the ball 800 times.
Yeah, that last stretch of games is all that matters for Singletary, like for his entire career. But also, I treat Devin Singletary as an analogy of We need to run the ball to answer to high safety, so we drag players' defenses in to respect our run game, and we have no one else because we're not giving the ball to Zach Moss. So here's Devin Singletary. Here's who we want him to be. But
where's Duke Johnson fit into all this?
the same
the
place.
Real question, the real question.
The same place Devin Singletary would be next year on the streets since he has an expiring contract. So.
But it does show that, like, if you have a back that is just getting all the touches, like, you see how good those Chiefs and Bills attachment could be. Because, that's the CEH angle or whatever you believe the Chiefs are going to do. Because you saw, like, when Darryl was playing all 3 downs, which CEH has never done, he was legitimately like a great fantasy play just because he wasn't coming off the field on a great offense. And we saw that with Devin Singletary at the end of the year. So if just one of those guys can just dominate the snaps, that's the only out you have. All
right. If we were looking at tight end, Pat Freiermuth, Albert O still here. I have Marvin Jones high.
We still need more wide receivers for sure.
Albert O's out. You tweeted it. I saw the retweet from your page, Daigle.
I just retweet news.
Go to the running backs real quick, Daigle.
We have 5 seconds.
Penny, fine. I don't know.
Sure. It only makes sense after last year. That's fine.
Hey, no, yeah, this is. I'm not.
That is true. It's the
I'm
anniversary.
not the one touting Penny anymore.
The anniversary.
You guys are welcome.
It didn't matter until the last 5 games, but that's what it mattered. Unfortunately, our team was too far out of it for Penny to matter.
If only Sova didn't have us chasing the fucking Darnold stack.
Hey, Darnold mattered for 6 weeks as much as Penny actually.
5 weeks. 5 weeks.
As much as running into those QB options.
What are we thinking here? I'm about to go.
I like Parker, Van Jefferson. We already have Allen Robinson.
Probably Van Jefferson for our stack reasons. It's no big deal though. We'll go Parker. We'll go floor player here. That's okay.
My Devontae Parker. I don't care if he's good, bad, or whatever. He's the only Patriots wide receiver that plays traditional X receiver, and this is going to be an offense that's going to be using a second tight end a ton, and you better be able to play in 12 in 12 personnel. And Jacoby Myers is a traditional slot player, so I'm worried about him. We don't know what Nelson Aguilar versus Tyquan Thornton is going to be. Kendrick Bourne kind of play either one. None of them are built like Devontae Parker. So to me, Devontae Parker is the Patriots wide receiver to draft.
So
we could have taken Rondale though.
Could have taken Rondale.
Oh no.
He's
James Cook. The James Cook conversation copy paste to Rondale.
We have Kyler though.
Rondale Moore was still there. Okay, there you go.
They're negatively correlated because Rondale's a wide receiver.
He's a running back.
Or running back, yeah, running back.
The only reason I don't have a take on Parker really. The only reason I've been drafted Kendrick Bourne like in the last round is because as I jumped in, I gang tackled.
Kendrick Bourne is good. Let's lay that.
He is
good.
Just
put that out there.
I gang tackled your thread or your tweet with Josh Norris earlier and saying Kendrick Bourne more top 10 finishes than the rest of the Patriots receivers combined last year. And like I don't.
Those
again, Hayden, like you said, it doesn't matter.
Kendrick Bourne hates fantasy football.
Fluky.
He's good. Look at the way he played the final stretch of San Francisco when he had to play too. He's a good player.
The way they use Kendrick Bourne, I thought was going to be the way to use Nelson Aguilar. Because, like, the one thing Aguilar has always done pretty well is with the ball in his hands. And they started giving Kendrick Bourne, like, the reverses and the yak creators and shit. Like, he's good. But come on. Like, it's okay. Value, I'm fine with it. Like, it'll work. But, they're all Patriots wide receivers. Like, come on, guys. Why not Tyquan Thornton? They just gave him a 2nd-round pick. Hold on, though. Hayden, all right, this is where my original train of thought was going. What is Josh smoking about Ramondre Stevenson? Am I missing something? Because it's like, look, they featured Damian Harris last year. Like, yeah, Damian Harris is still there.
I think it's just like if Damian gets hurt, Ramondre has like theoretical 3-down ceiling, and he seems decent enough. I mean, he's like kind of a chaos, like boom bust player, and he could fumble it or miss a block and be completely in the doghouse, but he at least has some explosiveness and he has the size profile. And he's relatively cheap. Like, to me, I'd rather have Ramondre Stevenson than James Cook and Devin Singletary. Like, we saw the best Devin Singletary season. It was like the 110th overall player. Like, he's not going to do you anything. Like, Ramondre Stevenson gets the workload. We can be talking about top 50 player in theory, at least.
I only get sold. And Ramondre Stevenson, I understand it. I'm totally fine with it. But how he gets there with Damian Harris still being there, even though he is on the last year of his deal, is if this James White injury, Hayden, because you have me freaking out. I'm still not sure whether to believe you or not, but you think it basically like ends his career essentially like Ryan Fitzpatrick, the hip injury. And if that's the case, Ramondre Stevenson has a much greater opportunity to get there as poor man's James White than Damian Harris does.
There is no James White. Like James White's a figment of
I believe you.
Well, I mean, the James White role. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't Ty Montgomery playing some wide receiver. I think I saw maybe a single tweet about that.
He changed his number from 88 to 17. So if now he's going to play wide receiver,
that's to get into your head. That's to get into your head.
I'm going to be pissed.
Rent free, Ian. Rent free.
Bro, I'm just saying, like, Pierre Strong went 5 picks after Stevenson did last year. We're acting like he doesn't matter. I mean, JJ Taylor, isn't he probably maybe next man up? I saw the Ramondre Stevenson blurb. It sounded like Ramondre Stevenson said that he worked on catching passes. It was never like the Patriots plan on this. Like, my fucking goodness here. But look, I saw the run against the Falcons that like didn't count. Like, I get it. He's had some good film and everything, and he had his 90-yard preseason run against a bunch of garbage men or whatever. But again, he's a handcuff, and that's fine. But miss me with the idea that he's someone that like we need to be prioritizing. Like Rashad White versus Ramondre Stevenson, I think is a fair argument. Like they have upside if someone goes down, but you could argue Rashad White's upside is even higher.
We got to utilize the Q on air now.
The fucking Q, Daigle. Come on.
Yeah.
Who are our quarterbacks? Do we have any quarterbacks? What about our tight end? Our tight end's looking pretty iffy.
Yeah, tight ends were down to David Njoku as the number one.
We missed out on Kirk Cousins.
By the way, guys, I got an all dreads backfield with Dalvin, Kareem, Ronald, and Stevenson. That's correlation right
Someone
there.
Yell at me. Someone yell.
I got nothing for you.
Njoku.
Going so far, it's too hard. I'm fine with Njoku for sure. Where's his ADP at? I think that's totally fine here. Looks like to be a teardrop.
Hunter Henry would be the next one.
I like both, and we might need both.
Yeah, I don't know if we have to take
not
Winston.
Hines. Not Hines. We already have JT. Not Hines, and not Gainwell. Please, Gainwell is James Cook, but not as good.
You didn't hear Justin Herzig's explanation on Hines with Jonathan Taylor. I mean, that's if we're going to talk about week 17, like let's draft Naeem Hines. Come the hell on.
I'm still fine with Naeem Hines.
I like that. I actually don't mind the logic of pairing him with Taylor because Hines plays like Ian's argument always versus all these tight ends are that they play wide receiver. Naeem Hines plays wide receiver.
He's
like
sick, man.
All he does is line up in the slot at wide receiver.
I got a fun stat. I had to check. I had to check it this offseason, and it still holds up. But the top. Wait, hold on. I just won.
Who else did we take with Njoku?
Michael Carter.
Oh, good. Okay, sorry. Top 3 running backs, yards per out run when in the slot or out wide. Austin Eckler, Naeem Hines, Aaron Jones. That adds up. Aaron Jones had that bonkers game against the Chiefs where he set like all the next gen records for a running back lined up in the slot or outside. That's the question. Hand up. I need to update my credit card, get my ETR subscription going again. Where do they have Aaron Jones? I'm legitimately curious.
So I'm glad you mentioned this because someone on this show who I just had drinks with in Chicago a couple weeks ago has a fire Aaron Jones take. And so I will roll out the red carpet and allow Rich to explain why he's down on Aaron Jones.
Oh,
I'm not down on him. I think he's a reach and redraft like anywhere.
You hate him, bro.
Turn. No, he's a complete best ball guy. Like he has been his whole career. I mean, the reason you want him is because he scores a lot of touchdowns. Only Derrick Henry has double-digit touchdowns the past 3 years with Aaron Jones. He scored a touchdown over half of his games. But look at when he doesn't score a touchdown, his floor is ridiculously bad. And I don't see anywhere that changes this year. I mean, look at it. His game, he's played 33 games where he hasn't scored a touchdown. In those games, he's never had an RB1 performance. He's had just 4 RB2 or better performances. When games without a touchdown, he averages fewer fantasy points per game than Devin Singletary and Miles Sanders. Now, those guys don't have the spike weeks that he does, but that's what makes him a better best ball player than a redraft player. We all can see the runway for his receptions to rise, and they've risen per game every year of his career. But we also have like a good inkling by the end of last year that like his touchdowns, especially in the running game, are very much up in the air. I mean, from week 12, when he came back healthy, he was out-touched in the red zone 17-5 by Algiers Jamil, and then 9-3 inside the 10. So like there's still like a yin and yang where like, yes, he does have this runway to be utilized as a pass catcher, especially out wide where he's actually been really good. but the touchdowns are still going to be kind of cattywampus. And then like you look at like when he doesn't score touchdowns, he historically hasn't been good. He's just been an efficiency player. He's never at the volume of his peers that he's with in the position, and that it shows up when he doesn't score touchdowns.
You're still the only person in the industry, too, who uses the term cattywampus. I love it. I love it.
I think on Underdog, Aaron Jones gets pushed up a little bit more because everyone automatically just drafts him when they draft Justin Jefferson 4th overall. So he's like automatically 19th overall or 18th overall, whatever it is, every single time. And we can't think of anything else except the week 17 correlation in the second round. So that's why he's always just going to hover there. But I also have my concerns with Aaron Jones. If AJ Dillon in the like preseason week 3 gets there at the goal line and gets that goal line carry, people are going to freak out, and there's a little bit of downside risk certainly.
I think he's great like this time of the year. I just think come August, if ETRs push him in the second round, like they will because they're behemoths in the industry and they're bullies, then I think that's going to be a reach, man. I think that's going to be a reach if you take him in the second round, if you're league in August.
You know what's going to happen, too, as we were hanging out on Silva's couch and you said that spiel that you just told us, and he looks at you and goes, okay, Reebs, and he goes back to watching TV.
You can't move the big dog, man.
Yeah, the big dog is stuck. Like he loves himself some Derrick Henry and Aaron Jones.
Hey, yo, by the way, with the week 17 matchups, it was 2 a.m. last night. I like to go to bed late, whatever. I don't give a shit about you military 6 a.m.ers. If it works for you, great. But I sit down, I got my book, I start my Underdog draft, and Underdog book club, man. Peter Overset, get on that. I am in. Reading your picks up, you fucking draft, and then you go back to reading like paper. It's a great freaking practice, guys. You're feeling good the entire time. But I got the round 18. I already had Jefferson and Thielen. I got sniped on Cousins, unfortunately. Unfortunately, the people like Hayden and Dwayne and Daigle, all you week 17 truthers, I drafted Romeo Dobbs in round 18. So look, I think that we way overhype it. There's no way that week 17 matchups should be like as prevalent as they are in conversation on these damn podcasts. Like I think people are talking about it way too much, but they do matter a little bit. So that is my official take.
So the argument is that remember, like the podcast we listen to, our group, right? Twitter in general is like literally less than 1% of civilization in the world.
Not true.
We were in a bubble. Absolutely true.
I know.
But like we're in a
Let's
little
get
bubble.
our pick in, Daigle, before you go on your Elon Musk.
Give me a player. Give me some player. Who are we looking at? We have 1-4-6-2. This is where our quarterback, Daniel Jones, Tannehill.
Do we have any correlation with who's our wide receiver?
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. Oh, that's a little early though.
Who?
Mac Jones star. He's at least.
Daniel Jones is best wide receiver. Saquon. So
yeah, that's true. That is true.
Do we draft Saquon? Yeah, let's go. That fire. Yeah, we can do that.
Kendrick Bourne is still very early. We have Alec Pierce for the triple Colt stack without Matt Ryan, unless we add Matt Ryan to this mix.
Yeah, he's gone. Matt Ryan's got to be way gone at this point.
Alec
right?
Pierce, I would still do Alec Pierce this late. Alec Pierce is like 12 spots after ADP. That's good with me.
And Matt Ryan's way gone. Quarterback, we were way against it there. And I assume that EC Garcia thought we might be eyeing up Winston with Michael Thomas and jumped ahead of him too.
What about Star Wandale? Perhaps we need at least one giant. It can't be Sterling Shepard.
You can still get Wandale in the last round too.
I think he's gone up a little bit. He's gone.
Is he okay?
He's at 180 now.
That's fair.
By the way, hand up. I've had a couple McLaurin, Dotson, Wentz stacks. I don't hate it. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. I don't hate it.
Ian, who do they play week 17?
I don't fucking care. Hey, did you see Dotson against air, like jumping and catching a pass?
178-pound receivers in June are going off. You cannot believe how good these 160-pound running backs look.
I'm not kidding though. Like there was a video with like 1,500 likes of Dotson like running a route and just he didn't even like jump that high. Like this is what we're doing, and people refuse to watch the USFL. But I don't want to pull this program off the rails again with that. So
no comment. You're good.
I've drafted Curtis Samuel a few times. He's just left for dead. Just hangs out there. The last time Curtis Samuel played football, he led all wide receivers in touches.
He outperformed Cooper Kupp in the year 2020, Rich. Preach, brother.
Look, I just got someone to draft him.
There you go. You did convince someone, not me, but someone to draft him. So good job.
I was hoping that, when McKissick, like the 12 hours we had of McKissick in Buffalo, like the pipe dream for non-Antonio Gibson truthers was like Samuel actually stepping in and getting those running back snaps, and then also getting a full-time wide receiver role. It's, we'll see what happens. Like last year was just such a wash, so it's wild to see him as free as he is. Same thing with Paris Campbell, but like times 3, I guess. But
well, we can't add Paris Campbell to this mix because we have Alec Pierce, Jonathan Taylor, and Michael Pittman without Matt Ryan. So I think we're good. We'll try and get Wandell. We'll probably have to get him in this last round because someone's going to snipe him just to be assholes in this league. But also
there he goes
with our 2 tight ends. There you go.
I was going to take him if he wasn't, just to be an asshole. So
appreciate the honesty.
There's still Ricky Seals-Jones or Daniel Bellinger.
No, there's not. There really is.
There is not.
There is not. This is 18 rounds, Daigle.
We have 2 tight ends. Do we need I know Winks is a 3rd tight end guy. You think this team needs a 3rd one?
Yes.
I think I'm also a 3 or 4 tight end guy. Like I know I'll get ridiculed for that and drafting running backs early, but I don't care. I like 3 or 4 tight ends.
Where do you draw a line though, Daigle? Like if you get one of the top 5 or even like Gronk, are you good with going to?
I won't. No. That's when I'll do 2. Otherwise, I think 4 is honestly the best strategy, and no one drafts 4. Everyone considers it a waste, even though Hayden's even shaking his head, even though like it is the worst and most volatile position. Even as we yell from the rooftop this year, we have the most available late round tight ends that we have confidence in ever. I have confidence in none of them.
I'm okay with 4 tight ends if like all of them are round 14 or later. That's when I can pivot to that. And I do think that there's some things going on with the tight end group as a whole. I think the tight end 2 kind of looks pretty good to me. Tell me if you guys heard this before, but I actually think that this year looks better than normal. But more importantly, I think the elite tight ends are a little more questionable. Travis Kelce with the age thing. George Kittle and Darren Waller would be very surprising if they ever repeated at their ceiling. Kyle Pitts has just like offense concerns in general here. So even if the tight ends 2 are as bad as they typically are, if the tight end 1s aren't as good, that's going to make them more valuable in the first place. And this is the position that scores the least amount of points. I know it's like a stupid thing to say, but this is also the position that ping pong weeks because of touchdowns. So if you add more of them, you're going to be able to ping pong those weeks in best ball.
And I just wrote an article on like tight end league-wide tight end usage last week that you could check out, and actually shows that the tight end 1s are actually occupying a lower rate of league usage and fantasy production. It's been trending down for like 3 straight years. So, I mean, if you can just not run into like a season that's like an apex season from one of those guys, you're absolutely doing better off by just bypassing that portion of the draft. And we know that a lot of people still want to draft those guys based on like data from a couple of years ago, right? Like with the Travis Kelce spike years, and Andrews was such a behemoth last year that it's, you still see those guys aggressively get drafted in these best ball leagues.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the slot receivers and the running backs that get targets is why that tight end's not getting as much, probably.
I'm still just starring guys. These are the running backs left.
I like Nico Collins a little bit for where Austin Hooper's a good tight end 3.
Why do you like Nico Collins? I mean, come on.
John Mechie is like just tore his ACL, and he's a better and best ball candidate. He's going to be out there. Who's their wide receiver for? He's going to be out there.
Isn't Chris Conley still working ahead of Nico for some dumb reason?
Maybe in June because it's the Texans and they got to make everything difficult.
All right, so we have 2-4-8-2. So we really don't even need Bourne, honestly. But
no,
do we think Austin Hooper or Mo Cox?
I would go. I like Hooper personally.
But how many people don't have Matt Ryan and have Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, and Alec Pierce? You have to ask that. That's where we're at right now.
I wonder if the Titans do just say, fuck it, like, Hooper, you're playing tight end. I mean, it's been so annoying trying to target Ferkser, targeting Juju. And, like, even Juju did actually – I remember going back and looking at the snap rates. Like, when Juju had that good 2020, he was playing like 70-80% of the snaps for a good portion of that year, dealing with some injuries. So maybe Hooper does it. I think he's him and Evan Ingram are like, if I need another tight end in that range, are like the last 2 guys that I'm good for. Miss me with this Taysom Hill propaganda, man. Sean Payton's gone. I'm surprised he's not cut. We're talking about the quarterback thing. You're predicting 2 injuries. Teddy Bridgewater's gonna wait, no, not Teddy. I'm sorry. Andy Dalton. My bad. Hand up. My bad. Andy Dalton's gonna play over Taysom Hill quarterback, man. Come on.
I mean, they just can't cut him because his contract. This is ludicrous.
Right. Man's like 30 fucking 6 at this point.
And I bet he still gets red zone touches too.
Mason Hill is 28.9 dead cap right now.
Yeah.
How many? Daigle. Guys,
How did that happen? Who thought
Mickey
of this?
Loomis, baby. Mickey Loomis with all his money in the banana
my
stand.
God.
He literally is George Bluth, man. Like 100%.
Guys, how many carries do you think Taysom Hill had inside the 5-yard line last season?
To be fair, they should still use him that way. He's good there.
He had like 3.
Yeah, but he's good at he's a beast.
They should, but my point is like as annoying as he's been as a vulture, like it's still like barely nothing. So
I'd rather do that with him than play him at actual tight end.
How many was it inside the 10?
agree.
Is there like is there a big discrepancy from the
7.
5 and 10?
7 inside the 10. Like Kamara was at 17, I believe. So like
let's say 10.
I'm just
What was
saying
his conversion rate. You
I
gotta
went,
keep giving him those.
I went back when I've done the Saints and Eagles team previews. I was expecting Hurts and Taysom to be like really just vulturing and being a nuisances inside the 5-yard line. The Eagles were still a top 5 team in running back carries inside the 5. The problem was Jordan Howard and Boston Scott were the ones getting us. But Sanders actually had the snaps inside the 5-yard line. Like it was like he had 15. I think everyone else was like 8 or lower. So that's another I hear you with the early round tight ends, but I do think like we don't have that same running back dead zone this year, the way wide receivers are flying off the board. Like we're not having to take guys like Clyde in round 3 or 4. We can get them in 6 or 7. Cordero Patterson, Miles Sanders, even Chase Edmonds going later. So I'm more okay, I guess, reaching on tight ends, not because I feel better about the tight ends, because I feel better about the mid to late round running backs than I did last year.
To be fair, that's an underdog thing, and we saw that happen on Underdog last year.
Yeah.
Where
fucking overset, man.
But towards the end of last year, where it became so wide receiver centric. But you go to these FFPC drafts now, and you'll still see a lot of running backs go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was Hayden doesn't know FFPC exists, but
Never heard of them.
I was in one. I was in a 125.
We're gonna see some
best
running
ball.
backs get drafted.
125 best ball over the weekend, and it shocked me. It still shocks me when I tune in over there. It's like, wow, I didn't expect that.
And you talk about the format flip, it should be inversed, right?
Yes.
I thought Hayden has actually shown like enough work to show that like you still want like 2 elite running backs.
Okay.
They don't
So
care.
2483. We have 2483.
Who are our 4 running backs again?
It is Taylor, Barkley, Penny, Carter.
Oh, that's bad.
I would go another one.
Okay. You don't want James White, no big deal. But we're in the hellhole. We're in Hassan Hoskins range. Yeah.
Absolute dog. Chris Evans. Let's go. Why not Chris Evans?
Why not Piron?
Listen, you got to go Keontae Ingram here, right? Because we have all the Cardinal stack. And if somehow Connor gets hurt, maybe he's like the round 18 like Cardinal stack dude in like the playoffs.
Evans is 2023, Hayden. I'm with you then, not this year. One more year.
My argument is who has Jonathan Taylor and Keontae Ingram. So sure, why the hell not?
But we already built a Cardinal stack. We might as well shoot for the home run play out of it without having a running back.
That's true.
Is he even going to make the team?
Yes, he's good.
Hey, Ian. Keontae Ingram plays the Falcons in a dome in week 17, so he's got the matchup queued up.
I'm thankful you're actually looking out for the weather, Hayden, because Denver KC is going to be a freaking snowstorm, and everyone's going to be pissed when that comes around.
That's why I'm on the Bears-Lions stacks in the dome.
Yeah, what can go wrong? Jared Goff. That's great. Okay, we're going to take Keontae Ingram then, and we're going to call it a draft. Let's go ahead and review real quick. Big picture takeaways, as we always say here. What did we do? We did a puppy. Okay.
You guys fix this so you can look at it right away now. Hell yeah.
I just got to read.
I got in there and coded it myself.
My man.
I'm sure you did. You just got to refresh.
I've had so many damn streams where I'm just like, all right, I was going to review this, but peace.
All right, Rich, since you're the guest of honor, you tell me what you would have done different since we were talking a lot and joking.
Pop that shit out, Daigle.
Big picture takeaways.
Casual.
How can you? Oh, I didn't even know you could do that.
Oh my God.
Do I have to share a different screen now? I do.
New tab.
That's why.
As much as I talked about the Arizona stack, I think this team probably didn't need to take a quarterback where we did our QB1. At that point, we probably could have went wide receiver. I don't know who was around Kyler. Obviously we're just firing things off here, but I would think of us going wide receiver on only one of the top 3 picks. We probably should have taken one with the next 2, and I don't think we did. We took Kyler and who?
Yeah. But
Daisy, scroll down a little bit.
To start,
I can't see it.
He didn't pop it out.
Yeah, Jesus
It is
Christ,
popped
Dale.
out.
Share the entire web browser, not just the tab itself. You StreamYard rookie.
Well, get ready for me to try to do this. Do I do this?
I can't see what you're doing,
Goodness.
dude.
This is just content right here, boys.
But my loose take is that this roster that we built
Looks
probably
like the same thing.
would have waited on quarterback more. I think we took Allen Robinson, right?
You're on the original tab. Share the pop-out tab.
I thought I did.
No, you're showing the original one.
The
My
team could have
God,
some touchdown
Daigle.
potential. There
You
could be some
fucking
touchdown
boomer.
potential out of the wide receivers.
Evan Silva did make an appearance. It's in the form of Daigle tonight.
Oh, this one. Hold on. Is this it?
Oh,
Hey!
Isn't it the same thing?
For you, Daigle.
It's bigger. We can
No,
see it.
It's bigger.
This is
You
crazy.
You were only showing like 2 rows before.
Who needs to see more than 2 rows? Okay, go ahead.
Casual.
Rich, touchdown equity, and you weren't joking. Why touchdown equity?
I mean, touchdowns matter, and they matter at Underdog.
Because we have Jonathan Taylor.
But we could have probably taken Allen Robinson and like DK together, right? And had even some a bunch of touchdown equity. But yeah, this team probably, if we kick quarterback down, we could have Stafford as our QB1 at the next turn, right? And we would have that matchup. We would have had the pairing of Allen Robinson and Stafford. Probably a little more optimal in hindsight. I don't know. I think I blacked out when we took Rashad Penny and Devontae Parker together at the turn. But that happened.
Rich,
No. I think it's fun.
Happens to the best of us.
I love that 3. I love Hayden selling the Barkley Pittman stack with John T. I love that. I absolutely love that.
Rich, I was going to ask real quick, like with DK, okay, he's a mid wide receiver too in Seattle. Like, where would he go? Let's say the best case scenario, he does get traded. This like a team, like a Green Bay type team. We're talking about a first round wide receiver, like with someone that good in round 5, 6, like that. Yeah, let's pull the trigger at that point.
I mean, just the touchdown equity alone. Like he's another guy when I've been doing a better in a best ball series and I did the running backs today. He's going to be on the wide receiver list for sure, because you look at him and his splits when he doesn't score touchdowns, he's absolutely useless.
Scored 12 touchdowns last year.
No,
it's like none of you care.
No, that's why you want him, because he does score a lot of touchdowns. But him and like AJ Brown, especially, like when those dudes don't score touchdowns, they are bad. Like they're bad fantasy players.
I maintain to some extent scoring touchdowns is a skill. All these fantasy
it is.
nerds and virgins talking about yards and all this being more predictive. That's fine, but come on, get in the end zone, find the paint.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Touchdowns being more skill, but that's why you want those guys. It's not me tearing those guys down. It's
I know.
You want them in these formats because you're never benching Arthur Juan in your seasonal league. You just aren't. You're never benching, DK in your leagues. Like you're gonna take on 6 or 7 of those weeks that are just not only we don't care about so much taking on floor weeks, but their floor is so much lower than their peers around them. So in these best ball leagues, you don't have to take those on usually. Now you still might run into a scenario where you have to take on a bad week, but you typically don't. And that's what makes them better in these formats. So come August, like AJ Brown's a really tough pick where he goes. It really is. I could see the upside angle, but like his floor is just so much tremendously lower than on a weekly basis than everyone that like a lot of his peers around him. And that makes it tough. It's the same thing we talked about with Aaron Jones. Like these are great players. You want them on teams for their ceiling weeks, but they also have lower floors than a lot of their peers. And that's what makes them better to go in these types of formats and build around them instead of when we get to August.
Are there in particular players you're taking, whether it be middle round because they're falling too low or later rounds because you think they should be drafted higher, that you're targeting for that reason?
Well, I think it depends on how your team has been built so far. So like, I genuinely believe that guys like Brandon Cooks and Darnell Mooney are going to beat their ADP, but their team limitations historically have shown that they have very low odds to turn in like a really season where they just obliterate their ADP and like can turn in a wide receiver 1 season. So if I'm a team that's drafted really good wide receivers at that point, if I started with a Justin Jefferson or I've taken a couple wide receivers at that point, it makes sense to move those guys onto that type of roster because you don't need them guys to hit that ceiling. But if I've been running back aggressive earlier, like I'm going to swing on a receiver that maybe has a little more upside. Like Bateman goes right in that area. Bateman definitely doesn't have the floor those guys have, but he has way more of a path to obliterate his ceiling. I mean, if Lamar Jackson, we're just 2 years removed where the dude threw almost 40 touchdowns to a team that was throwing to Willie Snead and Seth Roberts. Like, there's a path where Rashad Bateman can have 8 to 12 touchdowns this year. There absolutely exists. Now, his floor might not be the same, but if I'm a team that's gone running back heavy, I need more upside receiver. Like, I need a receiver to threaten a ceiling. Then I'm going to do that and draft someone that has like that type of ceiling based on the team situation they're in. It might not be eliminated. So it all depends on how you start your draft and how your roster is shaping up, because how these guys fit in as pieces to your roster totally matter how you started.
Bro, I've started with Lamar and Andrews on like 3 different drafts, and I've just not been able to get Bateman afterwards. It looked like this person just missed on getting the Lamar Bateman stack. I love the idea of it. It's just like, if you can get those 3 players in the first 5 rounds, like, let's fucking boogie.
I'm writing a column. Ian, unplug the headphones. Week 17 is how to get unique. The way to pull that off is to reach, and I'm the anti-reach guy. Reach on Lamar Jackson in the 4th round, because Lamar and Bateman both go in the middle of the 5th round. So the only way to get all 3 of them, if you want to be King GPP best ball bro, is to reach on Lamar Jackson in the 4th round and then pray you don't get sniped like me when I was doing my employees draft today by 1 pick in the 5th round when somebody takes Rashad Bateman uncorrelated and tilts me off the face of the earth.
Look, the key to being a full-time analyst in this industry is when your drafts get posted and people hate them, you just say, look, I'm being contrarian. And then when they actually get calculated in 6 months, you ignore them. Like, that's all you need to do. So Hayden, I hear you.
I mean, all the teams we think are good now are bad anyway, so.
Correct.
Fine.
Especially when 2 players get lost for the year in a month, and then everyone does the math on which picks were the most successful by win rate, when really those picks just had these players fall to them in that ADP. Yeah, it's we're in the hellhole time of the year for sure.
What about Tyson Williams? This is his year, right? I mean, come on.
I actually drafted, I'll never forget, Friday night main event, post Thursday night game, 0 RB team, got Leonard Fournette in the 8th round correct, but did not get Tyson Williams in the 6th round correct. I think it was. That one did not go well, but yet more value than Le'Veon Bell in the 10th round. So I still win that argument.
Bro, that was like, it's very cool how they always do that draft after the Thursday night game, and like what a Thursday night game to have, like, to just throw everything off. I'm sure Cooper's like ADP like jumped up 2 rounds, like CD went nuts. Everyone went nuts in that game. That was such a great season opener.
And it wasn't even about the game. Like, the conversation is more fun after, hanging out with everyone till 3 a.m., talking about what they're going to do for their live drafts at 10 a.m. That's the most fun part. I'm still trying to drag your ass out there, Rich.
I told the story. The first year I played in the main, there was the year Kareem Hunt played in week 1 and had like 45 points against the Patriots.
Yep.
And he was like a 5th, 6th rounder, and he was going like 102 like after the game because you were locking in those 45 points, and ended up smashing the entire rest of the season too.
Wow.
But it was like my first experience with drafting like that, doing my first year of mains. It was like, what the hell just happened? Like,
well, it's so, after 2 months of doing the same shit over and over again, to have that one extra like firework artillery shot go off 48 hours for week 1, it's special. Like, I love it. I love the chaos.
And it wasn't even that he
What's
scored
the
a
game
touchdown. Like, the dude had like 50 fantasy points. Like,
Bro,
Rams.
It's Bills Rams. And Rich, what was so funny about that game was his first NFL carry, he fumbled it. He got like 10 yards, but he fumbled it, and it was like, oh no, is he about to hit the doghouse? It's like, no, he's just gonna go the hell off here. But yeah, Bills Rams, bro, that over under is gonna be like 56 plus. I mean, this can absolutely be bonkers. I can't wait.
What's also fun about that game is that not only the results, but trying to then extend those results and project off them. Like, remember, the Cowboys had the highest pass play rate in the entire league from neutral game script in week 1, and then they just forgot how to play football. Like, it didn't matter after that.
Imagine if we get to that Thursday and Cooper Kupp has like 3 for 37. It probably won't happen. But like, just imagine that and how that's going to be handled that weekend.
It's the best. It's the best.
A-Rob, 12 targets. They flip in order.
It is the best week.
We're going to have to launch a puppy this.
That happened last
Friday,
year.
Saturday.
Well, I guess it didn't totally happen last year because Lamb had a really good game, but Cooper had like 35 last year.
Yeah.
Cooper had like the 2 tutties. Lamb had a good game too, but he threw the ball like 65 times. Like, that was
Zeke
the
had
thing.
like 6 yards. Zeke had like 6 yards.
All because they had 3 months to plan for it. Like, that's why you never saw that again. It didn't matter at all.
Hayden, I'm pretty sure like I think you came on the PFF Fantasy Pod
Yeah,
like
it was
between
week 1.
that. Yeah, like right in week 1. And we were talking about that game. Like Zeke had like 10 touches. He beat Devin White to the corner on one of them. Like Zeke looked good the first 4 weeks of the year, and he tears his PCL, and everyone's going to run off with their narrative after that. But it was just such a wild week 1. Antonio Brown had a huge ass game. Like Godwin was out there just doing his thing. Like this Bills Rams is going to be another one of those things, man. I can't wait. If Gabriel Davis, imagine if he goes like 2 touchdowns right away, he'll be a freaking top 15 receiver.
I mean,
probably.
you can't get any higher than like Gabriel Davis ADP already. He's still getting jammed up there.
Yeah, he's top 20.
If he has 2 touchdowns on Thursday that weekend, you'll see him. You'll see him go.
Cooper went at, and by the way, like we could hang around. It's Rich's birthday last year. Recall we hung out till midnight just to cheers him. No one has to. If someone has somewhere to go,
my birthday's not till Sunday. It's fine.
That's true. But if someone has somewhere to go
by then, at least.
I just kind of wanted to hang out and just talk. Like I got to
please.
The offer stands for anyone that wants to come and drive here. It's just gonna be just hanging out, man.
Is there a place to crash? Can I bring the fiance?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Fuck yeah. Okay. I'll send it up the totem pole. That sounds great, man.
I recall Amari Cooper also, as we mentioned, the 35-point game. He went at the first, second round turn. He went to my team, by the way. But yeah, he went at the first, second round turn, knowing that like that's the kind of stack. And we didn't even get those parts wrong. We got the Tyson Williams wrong, as well as we had Tyler Lockett Russ stack, and that mattered for 2 weeks, and then it didn't. And then we also had Chase Claypool and Laviska Shenault. So all those things were what collapsed the main event team on Friday. But I suggest everyone here should try to go. It's amazing.
With bro, are we just completely sleeping on Tyler Lockett? I think we all agree he's a great football player. He's going like outside the top 40, but I've been in those situations and I get it. Like I'm not happy about drafting him either, but he's a really good football player. There is here's the thing.
Let's say the gap exists between him and DK.
No, but I'm wondering, even if Metcalf left, where does Lockett really rise to? Like a borderline, like around the Bateman range would be my guess. Kinda like it's just weird, man. Like Lockett is one of these guys where I think his nature is boom or bust, which is just great for best ball, kind of period. Like, what more would he need from him, man? He's had 4 straight years with either 1,000 yards or 10+ touchdowns. Like
with Russell Wilson.
That's the thing. So I don't know. I'm with 3 of my friends. I respect all your opinions. Let's talk about Tyler Lockett because it's tough. It's really tough.
My take with it is I think it's okay to pair DK Metcalf with Tyler Lockett because if he gets traded, there's correlation where both of them go up. Also, if they just like trade for Baker Mayfield or whatever, the quarterback upgrade, even if it's small, but I think both of them would go up. I think, and on Underdog specifically, because everybody's so attached to stacking, rightfully so, they drop because it's not a sexy game environment. It's the Jets versus the Seahawks in Week 17. We don't know who the quarterback is, so all the people that are playing the stacking game are not going to be attaching themselves to DK Metcalf. So I think he's undervalued just in general, both DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
I think before we get Rich's opinion, I think the gap is egregious. The 3-round gap on Underdog between the two is pretty
one's
crazy.
Too low or one's too high. I mean,
it's
probably
that's probably the reason. And it's open-ended, honestly, for me, because I am higher on Lockett, but also we tell ourselves, so DK Metcalf survived on 4 touchdowns in 5 games from Geno Smith, but Lockett had the higher target share. Lockett also had 4 top 5 finishes to Metcalf's 1 last year. But then,
Lockett only had like 1 good game, right? Like, isn't he riding? Like, he played the Jaguars and had like 12 for 140 and then was like shit the other games, right?
Which is what Lockett does. And because he ends you in some weeks and everyone
12 for 142. By the way, just real quick, Rich is such a baller. I got his game log up. 12 for 142.
Yeah.
Like, that's
nice.
That's a great.
You have Pro Football Reference locked into your brain. You have the sub stat head literally in your head.
But didn't he before that he had 2-3 catch games, right?
Yes, because this is what
Yeah,
Lockett does.
2 catch games. Let's go. Keep going. Keep going.
This is ridiculous.
And it's all from Russell Wilson. That's why it's an open-ended question.
And people will bring up Geno or when DK hit with Geno because I think he scored 5 touchdowns when Geno was the quarterback.
Maybe that was at 5 and 4. 5 and 4.
I think we're all ready now to have the conversation that Geno Smith can be an average, can be a below to average quarterback, guys? Come
well,
on.
The answer is just never Drew Lock is the thing.
Oh, easy.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. The one Drew Lock fan.
Take it easy.
You and Pete Carroll, the only two guys that like
Drew Lock was made for red zone. That's the extent of my take.
It's just too bad he's never there.
When he came in last year against the Bengals and he had like that fake option, the option fumble, like that was Pete Drew Lock.
Bro, he messed up the
read. I think he messed up the read at first, and then
he messed up the read and it was a fumble. But then he chased down the D lineman and I think the D lineman was down, but like he stripped him at the end of it. The ultimate Drew Lock experience, man. I don't know, man. Oh, here's my thing with Drew Lock. This is why I like Drew Lock.
He had as many rushing touchdowns as Lamar Jackson last year.
That's an amazing stat.
Tannehill has more than Lamar last 3 years. If you look at Drew Lock, like he can give you 60 seconds of great plays. Drew Lock has a better highlight. Hold on. No. Here we go. Hey, hand up.
What a sell.
Listen to me. Drew Lock has a better 2020 to 2021 highlight film than Tua. That's just a fact.
Well, nobody likes Tua. Nobody likes.
I don't think anyone defends Tua either.
For good and bad, because Tua's vanilla ice cream, like literally vanilla ice cream. Like there's no flavor.
It's like fat-free vanilla ice cream, man. Tua, like, bro, I was.
And that's fine. It's just mentality. He's more of a he's just more of a robot.
I read my team previews. I like to put film in there. I try to just show that a quarterback can be good. I did not think I could get 60 seconds of Tua being good. I thought if I would have posted the highlight film that I had ready to go, it would be mocked. Like you're calling this a highlight film. With that said, hand up, probably shouldn't have tweeted like I can't make it to a highlight film. I was kind of throwing some fuel in the fire there, but come on, man. Like that's looking at the Dolphins. Fuck, come on. Are you telling me Tyreek and Water are both going to finish top 15 with Tua throwing that football? No way.
Oh, no chance, man. The year two wide receivers, I think, are the most interesting. You will remove Chase from the equation because he is what he is. Right. But then you've got Waddle, you've got Bateman, you've got Devontae Smith, you've got Kadarius Toney, you've got Elijah Moore. And then if you want to extend it out to like Rondell Moore, like Nico Collins, like Terrace Marshall, if there's anything left. But like that pack of guys from like Bateman, Elijah Moore, Toney, like, man, I want to get like 2 or 3 of those guys on every roster if I can, just because we know year 2 is the bye year in wide receiver. And if you can just run into the couple of the right guys while they're priced down, even Devontae Smith, I should include him there too. I want to get like 2 of those guys on every roster and try to hit the home run.
Kadarius, can we have to go around I'm so sold on Kadarius Toney. I want to make sure I'm not losing my mind. Can we please go around the horn on Kadarius Toney?
I'll start. He's sick, but like Wandale just seems to overlap with a lot of what he's doing. I don't know, man. Look, I had a shout out to @MySportsUpdate, Ari, our PFF, news extraordinaire. I got to go on his podcast and hear that apparently the Giants are feeling good about Toney now. He's been in the building for the last, we saw him with the red practice jersey, catching passes on the sideline. Like he's there. It's good. It seems like that stuff that was going around in May, whether like the reports of all that, I think we can write it off at this point. A lot of that seems to be, I saw the Cowboys game. I saw the Saints game. I think some of the yards per route run and targets per route run numbers are like, he had 53 targets, so he's barely qualifying. Mike Glennon was just, his giraffe ass throwing the ball to Kadarius Toney before he makes a terrible play. Side note, Mike Glennon maybe had the worst season we've ever seen from a quarterback last year, just in case you guys didn't catch these New York Giants games. I just feel like, I know Shepard's out, but to me, I'm not against Toney. I just think him and Golladay around that same range. Wandale seems to overlap more with Toney. If I'm wrong, Hayden, I'm down to adjust. But why'd they draft Wandale in round 2 if they're so into Toney?
So check this out. But with Daniel Jones off the field last year, the Giants averaged 3.9 yards per play.
I believe it. Absolutely believe it.
3.9. My son's a Giants fan, and he was like, oh man, they might as well just like show Fromm. Let's just at least see what Fromm could do. And Fromm threw one pass. Fromm threw one pass.
They did.
He was like, nope.
It was terrible.
Off the field. He was like, get him off the field.
Oh no. But I think that stat matters because if Daniel Jones is like much better than these other absolute scrubs, and the offensive line's better, and the coaching staff's better, and they play with more pace, Kadarius Toney doesn't even have to be a superstar himself to like absolutely obliterate this. And to me, Wandale was like insurance to Sterling Shepard, who tore his Achilles like on like Christmas. Like he's not going to be ready out there. He's not going to be an effective receiver. They made him take a pay cut. So I think that Wandale's like kind of like maybe Isaiah McKenzie at worst. Maybe he's like a slot receiver in the making, but he's so tiny. I think that Kadarius Toney was like not just only winning in the slot. Like to me, he was winning on the outside. Man, you referenced those 2 games, the Saints and the Cowboys games, man. I cannot get that out of my head. He looked insane. And it wasn't just like screenplays. Like it was like man coverage, just roasting Trayvon Diggs and these other guys. I really can't get over it.
It was Justin Jefferson-esque against the Titans. Like that's how impressive it was.
Well, the first drive against the Rams too, he hit like 3.
39.
He was done for good at that point. But the Giants are an interesting team from a top-down look. So like, let's say you believe in Daboll, right? Like you do believe in Daboll, and he can at least coax out this offense to go from a bottom 3 offense, even to the middle of the league, say. That's a significant jump. And then you look at the offensive line additions they made, and this is what Schoen did with Buffalo. You signed a bunch of cheap veterans. They signed Glowinski, Feliciano. They get Max Garcia. You draft Evan Neal. But then when you look on the flip side of this, that you say, all right, we can coax out mid-range just offensive performance from the Giants. There's enough talent here. Saquon, the wide receivers are talented. This defense, has anyone looked at the Giants secondary? They have
so bad.
They literally have like no one good safety and like no good cornerbacks at all. Like it's an absolute travesty. Like they're going to get absolutely just like flooded. And if you believe that Daboll can at least put together a functional offense, like this team's going to play in a ton of like ridiculous games. Like they could play in some stupid games.
That's why I also think it's interesting long term because like they're also not going to have Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley next year. So like they're literally rebuilding for the future from the bottom up and just taking what they have this year. It's a really interesting organization.
But with that, we've laughed at the Giants for 10 plus, probably not even 10 years, like maybe 7 years. Every front office move they made this offseason has been pretty damn good. I don't know. And then also with Jones in mind, they add Tyrod Taylor. Like Daniel Jones is a legit rushing threat. Adding Tyrod Taylor tells me they're going to run the fucking piss out of the ball using their quarterback. We know Dable's plenty used to doing that with Josh Allen as it is. They are going away. Man, like, I don't know that they're going to be this terrible offense, and they're all so cheap. Everyone, I don't give a shit about the tight ends. I know like Ricky Seals-Jones might not even start. So excluding those, like Toney, Golladay, Saquon, and even Daniel Jones in that tier, if you already have some Giants guys, I think they all make sense. Like to me, like quarterback, once you get past like Watson and kind of Fields, that's like where I draw the line. And I have this big tier of Tua, Lawrence, Wilson, and Jameis and a couple other guys. Like just pick the guy that you have the best stacking scenario with in best ball, and it could be the Giants.
Dude, they're going to run so many 4 wide receiver sets, way more than people acknowledge, because not just what Buffalo did, but because you said they don't have to play a tight end, like really. No. It's a team that's going to try to spread people out for sure.
That's a great point.
So, I mean, because you talk about them taking Wan'Dale. I mean, they have Golladay, Shepard, Wan'Dale, and Toney. Like that's a decent, talented 4. And then you have Darius Slayton, who's better than a lot of teams, at least wide receiver 5s, no matter what you think about Darius Slayton. So
can we write off Shepard and James Robinson? Like I understand it's 2022 and a few guys have come back from Achilles, like and decent timing, but they've all been terrible. Like let's not bet on them. Like my goodness here.
On Underdog, the latest a receiver is drafted, the Patriots is 133rd overall with Devontae Parker. Wow. Next lowest is Giants with Kadarius Toney. And like after those names,
he's below Parker's?
No way.
No. Devontae Parker's at 133rd overall. That's the latest.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Second latest.
Next lowest is Kadarius. But like that's crazy.
Next lowest.
I watched Kadarius Toney route up the best corners and defensive teams for like 3 straight weeks, and the offense is looking better. Like he can either be really good and overcome the bad offense, or the offense can be average and he can be a decent player and he'll pay it off too.
And he can pass.
He can rap.
Well, that part's debatable. I listened.
It was bad.
I listened to every NFL player rap album, and very few are Damon Lillard.
Beasley versus Le'Veon. Who you got, Daigle?
Oh, Beasley's terrible. Beasley is awful.
Better than Le'Veon?
No, well, Beasley every beat's the same. He sounds like Yellow Wolf. Like he's awful, dude. Like he's just
Yellow Wolf's.
Calm down, hey.
I'm joking.
Let's say something you're going to regret. I have no more questions for Rich, unless other people do.
Listen, down to riff, man.
Rich, what's the Jerry Rice quote over your shoulder? I'm curious.
Work is what is it? I should know it. Yeah, today I'll do what others won't, so tomorrow I can accomplish what others can't.
Hell yeah. I think it's a great example of the LeBron MJ kind of GOAT debate where, like, do we want to talk about the best player in a singular moment or the best career? Obviously, Rice has the best career, but give me Randy fucking Moss if we're playing backyard football, man. Like,
one game. If you got talking one game, I think you take a couple of guys over Jerry Rice, like in like an ultimate setting. But career-wise, yeah.
That should be the GOAT argument. Career versus overall talent. And then we can, we'll still bark about it, but that should be there's a GOAT argument, and it's in two categories. Let's move forward with that.
Moss is such a unicorn, man. Like his just whole, like, everything he brought to the table, man, at his apex was so.
The West Virginia scream where he's like hurdling dudes. Oh my God, man. Let's go.
And all for some weed, man. Dude just fell for some weed. Like, think about that now. Like Tunsil, like the bong video.
The
5 minutes
video,
after this is over.
The gas mask video is still not acceptable, but weed, yes, absolutely. but we'll always have the gas mask.
We're still worked out for Tunsil.
Yeah, well, we got a little bit of ways to go.
What a moment! That was a draft night, baby.
Incredible content.
Like that. And I'm trying to think of the most memorable draft nights. Darius Hayward Bay, whenever he went in the first round, I remember exactly where I was in that very moment thinking, oh my God, what just happened?
That was the same draft as Crabtree, right? And Crabtree went 10.
Yes.
It was like Saturday went 7-10. Kevin White was the same thing. Like Kevin White went 7 or 5 or whatever. And it was just like, oh, really? We're doing this.
we're doing this.
So I remember being at a bar. I was at B-Dubs in Columbus, Ohio for the 2019 draft. And then Cleveland Farrell went 4th overall. And there was just like a slow silence and then just a chorus of laughter from like everyone in the bar. I really enjoyed that. And we got that one screenshot of that Raiders fan too.
Yeah, Mayak was on a heater there for a bit. I mean, even last year, Leatherwood was absolutely garbage. And like,
oh my God!
And I mean, maybe he bounces back in year 2. We've seen like Andrew Thomas bounce back in year 2, but like Leatherwood was trash. Man.
They had to move him inside because
Arnett.
We can't do this anymore.
Arnett. It was rough, man. The front of those Raiders drafts really hurt, man.
It's still hilarious that like the best unit, an elite unit, offensive line in football. That's the part they said, let's tear this up. Let's get better here.
That offseason made no sense. They got rid of
it. Was the best offseason ever.
What happened?
Oh, their offensive line is still horrendous.
It's so bad.
Like, it's really bad.
It's bad. And they still have to compete in murderer's row.
They weren't even like against the cap or anything. Like the quarterback were a regular contract. They had no superstars, and they just got rid of everybody. And they were like, why?
Screw it.
It was pretty great. These guys. I loved it watching from afar. I thought it was hilarious. That's anyone else have any other riffs? I got nothing.
It's June 9th, man.
It's June 9th. We'll have you on a show again though, Reeves, for sure. Until then though, tell us what you have going on at Sharp Football, what people can expect from you right now, besides celebrating your birthday.
Well, I've been working on the book. So like the book is coming. Yeah. Everyone knows the Warren's book is coming. So we've been working in that. Everyone's been in the lab on that, flooding Pizzuto because he's our only editor, sending everything to him. So he's burning the oil here. But yeah, just basically been putting out a lot of fantasy content like you guys and just living life, man. Just enjoying it. Right? Because this is it. Like once we hit like 4th of July after that, like it's turn and burn time. And
well aware. Don't worry. Hayden, what about you?
I'm hoping I can just be a best ball guy and start taking the middle of the season off a little bit and start getting into that. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Tomorrow, week 17, I'm leaning into the bit. I'm going as hardcore into week 17 unique lineups and every little detail as you possibly can on Underdog Network and the column. And then I'm going to do a YouTube video about it so I don't have to talk about it the rest of the summer. I can live in one spot. I'm spending this week doing it, and that's all I'm going to talk about so we can avoid the annoyance. That's all I got.
Ian, what's happening at Pro Football Focus?
Not the PFF Fantasy Football Podcast with Ian Hartitz, the PFF Fantasy Football Podcast with Ian Hartitz and Dwayne McFarland, as it has been for like a year and a half plus. But now we got it official. I fucking love Dwayne, and we are continuing to go through every single team preview about I think July 9th is like our end date. So as Rich said, like once we get July 4th, shit is going. So we were trying to break down every single player, every single team in the meantime. And then once that goes around, feeling good enough about it to start attacking strategy, all the, my guys, my fades and all this stuff that you see. You see people like try and do it now. And it's just like, my God, you look at that 3-4 month content struggle. Yeah. Hayden's pointing to himself like, man, it's just such a grind, but we got a good schedule. Check it out. I'm talking fantasy football. I'm talking football every single day. I fucking love it. I'm paid to do it somehow. I'm not gonna sit down and let that disappear. So we're gonna be continue talking about it. Hit me up.
What a wasteland fantasy football Twitter is.
It's the worst. It's the absolute worst.
Life could be so much worse, bro. Imagine if we were like, I don't want to throw any professions on. I'm just gonna say like a lot of people, they gotta work jobs they don't necessarily love, and I think we all feel blessed.
The commute, no commute. We wake up and we just start typing. Like that to me, that was like the best.
Y'all are confusing
ever.
Y'all are confusing this job for fantasy football Twitter. That's what's going on here. Like you
guys. We don't have to do news. Like, come on. How could life be?
This is
worse?
Team No Game Recap.
Team No
now.
News. Whoa, this is the unit. I actually had it in my contract at Roto-World not to do players.
Sharp.
Yeah, that's why you are sharp football focused. Come on.
You also only did game recaps whenever to help us out whenever you're shorthanded, and your game recaps always laughed because they were like literally a novel. They were chapters. Like you literally explained the life of a player within 7 paragraphs, and everyone else tries to get out of there like at 4 or 5 sentences.
Yeah, the 0-16 Browns, I did 15 of the Browns games, and Evan wanted the last one to like do the end of like year wrap up. But I did 15 of the 16.
Corey Coleman dropped that pass. Like, bro, you almost were down
but
there.
There was a span from like week 7 to week 16 that I just was using the same blurb and just redoing the stats like for the game.
And very quickly before we get out of here, one thing to tout, and that is all of our good friend, Scott Fish, gave me 1 Fishbowl entry to give out. I announced it on the pod. I'll announce it here very quickly. All you got to do is subscribe to The Most Accurate Podcast on iTunes and review. And I'm going to pick the best comment. Maybe it's enlightening. Maybe it's funny. Maybe it's about life. Maybe it's telling me you're going to win $2 million like everyone else. I don't know. But I'm going to pick the best comment single-handedly in 7 days. You have 7 days to get it in. But until then, thanks to Rich for coming on. We will be back next week, the trio of us with another guest, as always. Until then, good luck and see you next time.